All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. I'm sorry I was out last week. I was definitely not feeling well. We had the flu wipe through our household, so didn't think you guys wanted to hear me last week. But I'm really excited about today's training, and I appreciate everybody that's joined us. This one's going to be recorded, so we're going to pop it up on the YouTube channel. And I've got everyone muted, but if you have any questions, you can always shoot me a chat. That's totally fine, and I can definitely answer. So today we are going to be going over developing an effective training program. And this is really something that's near and dear to my heart because when I first started in sales, I was a trainer, and that's how I started. I was a sales, I did sales and I did sales training. So developing an effective training program for an employee team is really important because it just really is critical to making sure that your team is doing what you need them to do. So we've covered all the other facets of a functional small business. We've talked about setting goals. We've talked about metrics. We've talked about, what it means to be a leader in a small business and all of those things. And sorry if there's some background noise. We've got some people getting settled here at the district office too. So developing an effective employee training program is just really vital to the long-term success of any business. And training programs provide just multiple benefits for your employees and for your agency, but only if they're carefully planned and properly implemented. So basically what you're looking for is a clear understanding of your agency policies, what the job functions are of everybody that's involved within your agency, what the goals are, and then what your agency philosophy is. And then you want to use this to increase motivation. It'll help build morale, productivity for the employees, which in turn, once again, always comes back to higher profits for your business. So training is a means to a very specific end. So keeping goals in mind when you're developing a training program, and then also during the implementation stages of your program, it's really going to help you clearly define an effective program. So those are the things that you want to stay targeted. Creating something and developing something so that your program creates revenue for your organization. So we've got the effects of a lack of employee training. So what happens when you don't have your employees well trained? The first thing that happens is chaos. Because training teaches new people how to meet company expectations, and it gives your existing team a platform for improving current knowledge, it can provide the company a sense of stability. So without it, in the absence of training, your employees become unsure of what's expected of them, and they may end up doing their work tasks very ineffectively. And we've talked about this. So this is where your misunderstandings ensue because employees aren't clear about the requirements. With confusion comes frustration, and as employees become increasingly uncertain about their role in the company, and with frustration becomes conflict. So this is where employees start to argue with you. They start to defy management. And a lot of this stems from improper training, from just not being in a place where they truly understand what their job specifications are. What's the next thing? Turnover. Turnover is a huge part of not having a well-trained team. As an employee leaves, you have to replace them. And too many departures reflect negatively on the company, and it indicates an inability to retain workers. Basically, you just are creating an unstable environment, and employees don't want to work in an unstable environment. Each time someone leaves, it pushes you back to square one. So if you've got a well-trained team and you've got a well-trained plan in place and you do have to deal with turnover, it puts you in a place where you're not really truly having to start from square one. You actually have a platform. You have something that you can start with. If the root of the problem is a lack of training and it's not fixed, then your cycle is just going to continue to repeat itself. High turnover is going to cost your agency money. Each time an employee is terminated or they leave, you have to spend money to hire someone else. And this includes the time and the money spent training. So you've got advertising, interviewing, going through the application, going through the new hire process, and then allowing the existing employees that you have to pick up the slack for the new person while they're being trained. So turnover is a huge, huge, huge issue. And a lot of this can be satiated by having a good and effective training program. Next, we have unproductivity. If you don't have a solid training program or you have untrained employees, then you're not going to have a productive work environment. A well-trained and committed employee is absolutely likely to remain with your company for a much longer period of time. Because you took the time to ensure that he or she receives the proper training, they'll be more motivated to give back to your company. So an employee who lacks proper training is unmotivated because they lack the knowledge needed to serve your customers and to serve you. When you don't feel well trained and you don't feel ready to start your day and you don't know what direction you're going in, you're not going to feel like you are going to be able to be an effective part of the company. So again, this pulls back lack of employee training they're not going to be as productive as you'd like them to. This is where you start seeing Facebook pop up more often. You start seeing personal emails happen and personal phone calls. And then finally, lack of training is going to create income or customer relationship loss. If you don't have a well-trained staff, you will lose customers and you will lose income. Solid business relationships are built on trust and understanding. The absence of employee training has a very high result in inept communication, and it's going to ruin those relationships. So if a company suffers a loss of revenue, a lot of that can be traced back to a lack of employee training. If you don't have your employees doing the right things the right way all the time, you will start to lose your customers and you will start to lose your income. So what can we do? So here we have some key steps to effective training. So I just want to tell you guys before we get too far into this, my 16-year-old decided that he wanted to add all the pictures. So I flipped through it this morning, but I'm not sure what he added. He was having fun last night, and he's in multimedia design, so he wanted to go through and add the pictures. I did tell him, though, I didn't want sliding words across my screen today because I just can't keep up with it. So key steps to effective training is number one, you need to define your needs and your goals. Number two is you need to identify which employees need training, and then you need to plan around that. Number three is you need to create and document your training program. Number four is you need to do the implementation, and then of course you need to have training and education follow-up, which means you need to stay on top of it. It's just not a one-day process. Get the training done and then you let it go. So let's start with define needs and goals. So step one, define the needs of your team and the business by identifying the weak areas where training would prove beneficial. So examples may include things such as time management at their desk, hard skills like paperwork or processes, how to use your system, how to use SIMs, for example, especially with all the rules and regulations that come along with an insurance agency. You guys have so many specific processes and procedures that you need to follow. So that's a huge one. You also have leadership skills, conflict resolution, corporate company policies. These are soft skills. Or even effective customer interaction and appointments, how to handle a customer in an appointment, how to go through an FFR from start to finish. And a lot of these things can be trained through your district office. It's stuff that you guys have your own skills on, but are you actually writing down your processes? Are you creating a training plan based on your own success and what you want the next person to do for you? All of these types of skills do require some sort of fundamental training that has a beginning and a middle and end with timelines. And then you know me guys, goals and metrics, and then follow up. So define needs and goals, step two. So this is where you're defining your short and long-term goals of the business and of each position in your business. And then you're going to identify the possible training to meet those goals. So you guys hear me talk about this all the time. Define the goals, define the goals, define the goals. Figure out what it is that you want. Figure out what you want your agency to accomplish. Figure out what the end result looks like. And then you need to define the goals around that. And then the next step beyond that, and that's what we're talking about today, is once you've got those goals defined, it's creating a training platform to be able to move those goals forward. This goes back to your business goal setting. So once you've identified, you can then assess if your team's on track from a skill standpoint to effectively meet your goals. If you have to start training you may have to start training from scratch, but you want to be able to take the time to reassess even your older employees. So if you've got people that have been with you for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years in some cases, they still may need some sort of training. There may be fundamentals that they're dropping the ball on. So this is where you want to actually sit back and really rework the goals to account for the training curve. Examples may include increasing productivity and enhancing customer service. So again, those two are really, really important to me just because those are definitely revenue driving goals. Step three, you're going to develop an individual training course or sessions based on your defined needs and goals. So one of the things that you guys can look at is trainings can be purchased from other business owners. In your case, you can work with other agents. You can talk to them about what's worked for them. You've got a great district office that is really putting together a great platform of training and support for you. You've got the corporate office, Farmers Corporate, that offers training. And then you've also got trainings that have even been developed by a member of your staff and you don't even know it. They've got a process or procedure for something that you can incorporate or turn into a training. And then this is how you get your staff educated. You can also document your own processes and have that as a training tool. If you have a very successful CSR, watch and document what they do and create a training platform around that. You can create step-by-step trainings that build on each other as you advance your employee and their skills. So I wanted to give you guys an example of one of my employees, Brandon. So Brandon is my marketer, and he is moving into a sales rep position. He's moving into an account exec role. He started just cold calling, literally making 50 to 80 calls a day. That's all I had him doing, picking up the phone, calling, asking if there was an open position or asking if we could do business with them. Then what we did is we started to build upon that. Next, we started to do next steps with clients. And now he's in the process of going through a really rigorous 8-week advanced sales training program. And all of it has been built on the previous steps that he's gone through. So this is what you want to do. You want to take a look and you want to figure out what your fundamentals are. And then you want to create a step-by-step training process and platform that moves somebody forward till they become advanced or a senior person in your organization. So now you're going to work on identifying employees and planning. So basically, you're going to plan your training by identifying individuals or groups that are likely to benefit from your training. So your training will typically be broken into 2 categories. Okay, how much do I love that my son put a picture of friends on the page? This is great. So thank you, Robbie. So your trainings will typically be broken into 2 categories. You're going to have staff training, and then you're going to have individual department training. You're going to have different trainings for your CSRs, your marketer, your front desk, et cetera. So, and eventually as people grow, you'll have people that are cross-trained. Because remember, we've talked about that many times, cross-training. Get the fundamentals in place, then start cross-training your staff. You'll also have office training. This can include anything from, like we said, corporate policies and time management to programs and technology. You really need to have both hard skills, which is computer programs, email setup, SIMs, and soft skill. These are your job-specific trainings. Your CSRs, getting on the phone, talking, cross-selling. Remember that the goal is for you to create a business in which you can step away. This is what all of these owner therapies are about. OT, owner therapy. It's what do you need to do to create a business in an agency in which you can grow it, reinvest in it, and then step away from it and only interact when it's desired because you have a well-oiled machine. You should be able to call the shots and have a functional and predictable training platform that will allow this to happen. So identifying employees and planning. So step 2 is you're going to create a way to track what training you've completed and what's coming up. So if anybody has worked with me directly, they know I am all about organization, time management, Outlook, creating spreadsheets. You don't have to do anything that deep, but it's really important that you put some sort of training plan together. Every person that comes in starts with this. You have a checkbox. Even if you just have a checkbox sheet with 15 trainings on it and you have somebody's name at the top and you keep it in their employee file, it doesn't matter. You just have to create some way of staying on track and knowing that you've created a full training plan for them. So most of my other owners therapies, we discussed how to create an environment of respect. So this is really important. Much of this respect is created through consistency, and we've talked about that. Your team being able to count on you to follow through and complete ideas and processes is critical to you being a successful agent and for you having a team that is going to follow you. So tracking the training, once again, brings owners' accountability to the forefront and calls out the importance of predictability so that they know they can count on you. It's important that each person that you have in a specific role is trained the same way. You always can improve your training as you learn and grow, but the key is to have seamless knowledge across all of your staff. So if you have somebody being trained a certain way and they are no longer with your agency and you bring somebody else in, you start from the beginning and you train that person the same way. So everyone in your office knows that there's accountability and dependability. So now, step 3, I like the picture of Lassie. That's awesome. So plan a regular training session schedule that'll satisfy training needs within a specific time frame. Getting all the current employees retrained is going to take time. So if you decide to take what I'm telling you guys and you decide to put together a training platform and you want to move forward, that's wonderful. What you will have to remember is it's going to take time because you do need to go back through all of your current employees. So plan your trainings during slow periods or after business hours to avoid work disruptions. Business owners have to recognize that training is an investment in the future of the business. So training costs and downtimes are to be expected. And this is something that you just have to kind of suck up. This is why it's critical to set your goals based not only around the current and future level of your team, but also the time it's going to take to get your team where you want them and where they need to be. Now, let's talk about implementation. So when you're implementation, step 1, you're going to implement your training sessions in the order of importance. So if customer service or time management are major issues for you, those are the things that you need to roll out first. So this is where you need to identify the order of importance. And this will require for you to take a few days and sit back and just observe your team. We've talked about your face being seen on the floor and your face being seen next to your employees and you sitting and you listening to them. This is really where it's going to come in. So you're going to watch silently and you're going to watch without input or criticism. So I know that's going to be tough for some of you because you want to help, you want to teach them right then and there. But the whole point of this is to figure out what training your team truly needs. It's going to be brutal for you, I promise. You're going to want to jump in, you're going to want to correct, you're going to want to adjust, and you just can't. This is the time that you observe to see where disconnects are and to see where challenges might lie. If you're following any of my other trainings, you should already be spending time observing your team. So if you guys have been listening at all for the last couple months, I'm hoping that you are sitting next to your team members and your staff. I'm hoping that you're watching them. So they are not going to be, and the whole point of this is that means they're not going to be nervous to have you watch them. They should already be able to be themselves. They already are comfortable with you out there with them. And so this will just give you an opportunity to see where processes and procedures need to be tightened up and where the real training needs to begin. So here's another option, using a professional trainer or experienced employee whenever possible. The trainer's interaction with the audience and the presentation of the material is a major factor in training effectiveness. All right, I promise I'm not trying to sell myself here. Although I can absolutely provide you with professional training, you've also got an amazing resource with the district office, and you have an amazing resource with other successful agents within your district. This includes experienced employees at other offices, producers, and corporate support. There's all sorts of resources available. Even YouTube, I did some research last night on YouTube. There's a vast sea of excellent training programs and topics on, or ideas out there on every topic, and that includes insurance sales and customer service. All of these different options can be put together to create a wonderful and thorough training platform for your business. It doesn't have to be out of the box, farmer specific. You can train based on the different things that you're finding as well. So this is one of my favorites, is the use of multimedia tools. I love technology and it makes learning just so incredibly interactive. There's a wide variety of tools out there and many of them are at low cost or no cost. So I know for myself, my whole team is virtual. So we do a lot of stuff on Skype. We do a lot of screen sharing. We do a lot of training that way. And it's really fun. Everybody has a good time. Everybody gets to participate and be a part of it. So effective training practices uses slideshows, whiteboards, videos, in addition to just written material or somebody just talking. Some of my favorite ways to get people in who are trained engaged, so these are things to keep in mind, jot this down, is to have quizzes, question and answer sessions, games, or role playing. So I know with Brandon, we're doing flashcards. He's doing flashcards for technology right now because he really needs to learn technology to be on the technology side of the business. And so, we're going back through and we're doing quizzes and fun games and that sort of thing for him to really start learning about technology. And he's grasping it and he's enjoying every minute of it. So, and speaking of Brandon, I actually work with him 3 times a week, and he also gets a homework assignment. So that's been really fun for him too. And sometimes it's research or something that he needs to put together before a prior session. But what it does is it's just like going to school, guys. It's putting it in your brain so that you remember and it's there and it stays. So step 4, you're going to want to create an employee feedback form to rate the training and collect comments and opinions as the training sessions perceived effectiveness. Now, this is interesting. So you guys may only have 2 people in your office. You may have 6 people in your office. You may just have you and your front desk receptionist. It doesn't matter. Remember back when we first started these owner therapies, I was talking about the CEO of IBM. Well, the founder and CEO of IBM, he hit one of the biggest things that he did 30, 40 years ago when IBM was started is he perceived and he treated the company the way that he wanted it to act when it was a multi-billion-dollar company. So from day one, when it was nothing, when it was just a little teeny tiny company, he was treating it and acting the way he wanted to see it when it was in its full level of success. So asking your employees for feedback and rating your own training and rating the trainings that you put together is just part of this. How comfortable are you asking them for feedback on the effectiveness? Imagine if at the end of a training, you provided your employees with a simple form, asking them to write down what they learned and the most effective part of training, or where they could see training be improved for this specific, topic that you guys were going over. How much better do you think it would make you as an owner and a leader, as well as increase your business and make your trainings more effective? So now you want to make training a part of every new employee's orientation going forward. Oh my goodness, look at this one. All right, guys, again, 16-year-old, new job, first day, have to make a good impression. Love it. So you'll probably play a lot of catch up with your current employees, because if you do decide to go forward and implement a training process, you're going to have to kind of take a few steps back and make sure that everything that your current employees are doing are accurate and it's happening. But once that's done, you now have a platform and you've created a training program for new people that are coming in. New hires are prime candidates for training during their first few days on the job. And this will keep you on track, and it'll keep things consistent with your business. And people will know what to expect. So again, creating that respect that you want your team to have for you. All right. So about to wrap it up, guys. Now we've got them all trained. So now what do we do? Goals. Are they meeting them now that the training is complete? These are the things that you need to look at. This is where you come back 1, 3, 6 months later. Evaluation. Are you following up to see if additional training is needed? Did you just train your employees and then walk away? Good, you're done. You know how to, you're a CSR now. Congratulations, woo, you know how to do it. And then you're done and you haven't done any evaluation or follow-up. How about performance? How's their attitude and overall performance now that they've had extended training? Do they feel more confident? Are they doing a better job? Are they treating your customers better? Just because you've trained your team doesn't mean it stops there. Now you have to stay on top of the processes and procedures that you've created. You can monitor this yourself, or if you've got somebody in a more senior position, you can hand this over. Either way, you have to stay on top of all the hard work that you've put in. This means having weekly or monthly meetings to touch on some of the key or critical points that you've covered on various trainings. You may not need to meet with your team every week to discuss, for example, whether or not they're adding notes to your CRM program, but you may want to bring it up monthly to see if everyone's on track or if people have fallen off track. You guys, my senior recruiter, she and I have been together for 8 years. We've been using the same program. We use Salesforce. That's our CRM, our customer relationship management system. And literally this week, we just had a follow-up training on making sure that we're adding accurate information and notes into the system. 8 years we've been using this program, and we're still having these conversations, because if you just assume that it's getting done, you can pretty much guarantee it's probably not. Are things still being notated as well as they need to be? Are your X dates being addressed properly? Does everything need to be updated, or do you need a refresher on something? This goes for other trainings too, like how your CSRs are dealing with your customers, or how FFRs are being handled, all of this. You want to sit down and observe, but now you're looking for understanding and how it was implemented. So now you're not looking for the cracks, you're looking for understanding. This is going to help you to determine both where your training may have fallen short and also what was successful. The team you have now isn't for life. You are going to have turnover, and you have to be prepared for it. And it'll make your processes and your success inevitable. So some of the key things that I used to put this presentation together was How to Hire, Train, and Keep the Best Employees for Your Small Business by Diana, and I cannot pronounce her last name. I'll mutilate it, so I'm not even going to try. Anthony Inario has a fabulous sales blog and website, and he talks about training sales reps, but that can be moved into any facet of your organization. And then Crone.com they've just got some great small business related articles that I'm constantly reading and looking at. So if you have any questions, I'm going to take you guys off mute for a second, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And then if not, then we will definitely be putting this up on the YouTube channel. And hopefully you guys have a link to the YouTube channel and you know how to get to it, because all of my trainings are up there as well. So thank you guys very much. Are we good? All right. Thank you guys.